far as walling off and kind of creating a sim city from a Zerg defensive perspective. So we'll have to see what happens.
Well, Overgrowth is going to be the second map, and spawning down in the bottom left-hand position, we have got the Zerg player representing Vega Squadron, DaNa. And to the top right, his opponent, the Blue Zerg, battling now to stay within this tournament. It is Guru. In terms of kind of early game strategy here, no sign of any super greedy, super aggressive stuff coming down from either player, just both happily droning, got their first overlords coming through, so not going to be seeing an A-pool or anything like that, but DaNa should be pretty happy considering how that first game went.
Yeah, and you know, from Guru's perspective, I'm not sure that it really went that terribly for him. If you think about it, he tried something and it didn't work, and he was just kind of behind from that point. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like DaNa just kind of like just outplayed him. It was really just kind of, you know, he tried a speedling all in. His opponent was well prepared for it, and he couldn't quite transition out of it in time before the 1-1 speed roach timing hit, kind of as a follow-up from DaNa's perspective. So, you know, I think if I'm Guru, I'm still relatively comfortable playing a normal game here, and he's even going for the 15 hatch.
I think Guru also has to, or hopefully can sit back and look at that first game and go, I wasn't actually, as you said, outplayed by anything. It was a build order loss at the start. My early aggressive opening, which was a massive commitment, getting out 22 odd speedlings that early is a huge investment. Didn't work because my opponent built a Bailing Nest. They didn't scout it, they weren't expecting it, it was just part of their build. And altering from that is actually quite an easy thing to do as a player. What's harder to alter from is if game one, there wasn't that defining moment that you got a bit behind and had to battle back from. That's when you struggle because you're like, my opponent was just playing better than I was. You can't adapt to that.
And, you know, it's going to be, again, it's going to be interesting. I would, like you said, I don't know if I would expect any sort of Ling Bane pressure this game. I would expect Guru to maybe get another Baneling Nest, but I don't know if we're really going to see any super aggression. I would love to see these players go into the mid game, go into the mid to late game, and just kind of move forward from there, because those Roach battles are so positional in their nature as far as the success of the battle that it can be a joy to watch, and with two great players like this, I personally would just love to see it.
I think the Roach battles are really intense, but it's also that kind of gamble of when you transition out of pure Roach. When do you get out the Hydras? When do you get out the Infestors? When do you risk it? Because you do have that moment that if you go out of the Roaches, as your opponent decides that they're just going to flood in, they will have the numbers advantage. And so that's where scouting, that's where map control becomes incredibly decisive in the decision-making from Zerg players in ZvZ.
Yeah, absolutely, and no huge differentiation right now from these players as far as their builds are concerned. They're just kind of, again, like we talked about in the last game, getting to the same place, just in kind of different ways here. So
one little difference is that there's no gas being taken by Guru. So again, he's got speed and then pulled drones out, whereas DaNa has kept the drones in, which means DaNa has the Baneling Nest option, but Guru could be going for a lot of speedlings yet again.
Yeah, and DaNa does get that Baneling Nest down, but again, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just defensively, as you mentioned before, as just kind of part of the build. And from his perspective, you know, what reason does he have to change his build? It wasn't anything like a huge giveaway, and well, both of these guys, I guess, feel pretty strongly about their build orders here.
And again, this is a very interesting decision by Guru, going for a lot of speedlings yet again, but DaNa is in a position where he's got the right build to defend against it. It can be seen by Guru, that Baneling Nest, thanks to the Overlord on the high ground. And that's what's triggering this push to come out slightly earlier.
Yeah, and if we're taking a look, speed's still 20 seconds away here for Guru. But DaNa's got the Baneling Nest, four Banelings again on the way. The Spine Crawler a little bit late here, but with that Queen and that wonderful choke point here, these Lings are going to have to wait till speed. Speed now triggers, and they're trying to dance around. They come up the ramp just as the Banelings come in. A huge detonation on that first clump of Lings sends the rest of these Lings around, and they're going to have to run away here.
Not a single drone died, not a single Queen went down, so unlike last game, no damage was done at all. But on the bright side for Guru, he still has a good number of Zerglings on the field, 17 in total, putting him in a much better defensive position to prepare for this counterattack that's always going to come if your opponent's been forced to make a lot of units.
Yeah, and DaNa again doesn't have speed with his Lings here, so
he does.
Oh, he does have speed.
Yep.
Sorry. For some reason I didn't see it, but He's getting the Roach Horn behind it. He canceled the Spine Crawler as natural, and he's getting a Roach Horn behind it. So he's kind of getting to that point that he wanted to be in the last game as well with all of those roaches. He just doesn't have the evolution chambers this time. So are we just going to see him flood roaches? Is it purely defensively because he doesn't want to spend any more on lings because he kind of knows the mid game he wants to go into? And 9 roaches on the way here. We may see him knock on the door in not too long.
DaNa, if he gets a good number of banelings out, plus those roaches, will be in a very strong position, especially with Guru taking the third. And DaNa knows about this, and Overlord is positioned. So DaNa had 2 options when he saw that third base come down. He could either get very aggressive, or he could try and take a third of his own. And it looks like he's going for the former of those choices.
And that early third base is going to be a point of vulnerability here as more and more roaches are coming out here. The lair on the way here for Guru is he caught kind of in an awkward spot where he's trying to transition into Spire Tech and his opponent is coming through with 20 roaches.
It looks like that's precisely what he's doing. He's got those 4 gases going up into that lair, but with the third, I don't see how he's going to stop this. Banelings just need to morph in. There's 14 banelings coming through for Guru. That's one way to try and buy yourself a bit of time. But it's flooding all the gas that may be used in Mutalist afterwards.
Yeah, and more banelings are being made here for DaNa as well, so it's not like he's completely sitting back banelingless here himself. These banelings fly in. Oh, really nice detonation there in favor of DaNa, getting most of the banelings for about half of his own. The rest of them do fall. Not great contacts there. And, well, these Spine Crawlers, not long for this world. The roaches are surrounded here, but reinforcement lings from DaNa going towards the Spine Crawler. It looks like DaNa has breached the natural here.
This is causing a lot of problems right now for Guru. His third base is up, so if he can shut down these units, does still have a chance, but is he going to be able to get out enough lings to deal with this? DaNa has banelings coming through, some good detonations there, and with more units flooding across the map, things looking very sketchy right now for the Russian Universe of Warhammer player Guru. And DaNa looking to be in a very strong footing.
Yeah, 70 supply to 40 pretty much here, and although that third base did finish, well, it's not going to be enough. The game goes to DaNa, and he advances to the semifinals.